Hello everyone, Soulbag Greg here. Welcome to the dance floor. Today we're going to be reacting to some Tex Talks Battletech from the Black Pants Legion. You guys ready to learn about the great houses of the Inner Sphere? Come join us on the dance floor. Hello everyone, Soulbag Greg here, local VTuber swing dancer. With me today is the amazing Lutra Gaming.
Hello.
And today we're going to start a very fun series of reaction videos, the first reaction videos that I've ever done for this channel. And it's going to start based off of the wonderful Tex Talks Battletech series. Lutra Gaming here is an amazing Battletech creator and is currently working and publishing on the wonderful fanzine, the Heatsink for Battletech. And I'm just your local swing dancer that has been enjoying Battletech since MechWarrior 2's original 1995 release. So definitely enjoy Battletech and definitely love Tex. Tex and the Black Pants Legion does incredible work.
Tex.
Sorry,
I was about to say, sorry about that. I was about to say Tex is just freaking awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy. They all seem like really great guys, you know. Not only their quality of work that they put out for YouTube, but also the stuff they do in the background, like having a lot of their having a lot of funds that they raise for their videos going out to various charities, like the Wounded Warrior Project and things like that. So, just really cool guys, really great creators. Today, by recommendation of Tex, as I asked for permission to do reaction to his videos. I always feel kind of weird thinking about doing reaction to other people's work, but they were kind enough to give us the okay and recommended we start with the Battletech 101, Great Houses of the Inner Sphere. It's going to go over a bit of the history and all the different dealings of the Great Houses. And I did see this video a number of years ago when it did release. So it's going to be a little more of a fun review for me. For you, this could be the very first time you've seen it. So it'll be great to see your perspective on things. But yeah, let's not delay. Let's hear what Tex had to say about Battletech today.
Comstar video, you have no choice.
You have no choice. Yep, that's good old Comstar.
Oh god.
Battletech 101. I wonder what they do with where they got the soundtrack for these videos. They're so cool.
Welcome, new warriors, to the Inner Sphere, where you can keep whatever money you find so long as you live to
Stop for a second. I have to point something out.
Yeah.
Now the Atlas. The only thing I love the picture of this. This is on the oh god, what is it called? Battle Force, the box set. And the picture is really good. The only thing I don't like is how they have the little head in the Atlas of the guy looking out the window.
You know, I've seen this image before, and I know subconsciously I'm like, huh, that's weird, but I don't actively say anything, right? Like, something did seem off, but I didn't say anything. And once you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, why is that? That is weird. That shouldn't be like that.
I know. Of course, I do love the Lancers, Rough Riders, but still, it just seems off for some reason.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, technically, like I think in the cockpit configuration, I believe you actually would be looking either through the left or right eye with where your seat is.
Yeah.
But still, just actually seeing it through the glass just seems weird to me. Yeah.
But it's a big controversy now about the glass cockpits and everything. It's so easy just to knock those things out if you have like an aiming aiming thing or something like that, a targeting laser or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Get a called shot to that area. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, from what I understand, that was actually a tactic during the the second to third oh gosh, I always forget the names of these the Succession Wars.
Succession Wars.
Where it was like, oh yeah, get rid of the meat, keep the metal, you know.
Yeah, true. But it always just seemed off to me. I always looked at it like, that seems kind of weird, but I'll go with it. Why not? You know, it's Battletech.
Yeah. anything goes in Battletech.
You know?
Unless if you're a lamb, then
Oh God,
screeching from both sides.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I always like to think as lambs is that fun little experiment they try to do during the golden age, where it didn't quite work out, and they just kind of disappeared after technology got lost. And yeah,
Well, after they got sued by Harmony Gold, so like after that they took him out. It's like, okay, well, I guess that's gone.
yeah.
To
I
like,
mean, well,
what, like,
well, technically they're still in the rules, and like the images are a bit different. But like I was actually just reading the rules for lambs, and yeah, they still exist in like the alternate eras books and stuff
but
like
they
that.
disappeared for so long, though. They disappeared for like
Yeah.
what 30 years, I think.
Oh yeah.
30, 40 years around there.
So something like that. Yeah, they were definitely an oddity. I mean, if you think about Battletech nowadays of what it means to be like a Western style mech, where it's basically it's just a walking highly configurable gun, compared to more Eastern style designs,
Yeah.
But yeah, Lamb still exists. It's just one of those oddities where it's like, yeah, it was a fever dream that somebody in the somebody in the Star League had of, I want really cool robots, but I want them to be able to fly. And so, they're like the modern day version of the Bradley fighting vehicle, right? It's like,
that thing went through so many conversions when that was first done. God, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
True.
Slide, please. So the Great Houses are the 6, or for people who can actually calculate projection power on an appreciable strategic scale.
So I guess they're using the 3050 map or the 3052 map, and I'm using the 3025 map.
Yeah, they're going. Yeah, this is definitely during and post clan invasion.
Yeah.
One hermit kingdom that make up the inner sphere. No, it's not a perfect sphere. Yes, there are things outside of it. Today we're talking about these assholes. These are the Great Houses of the inner sphere.
Nice.
That's a proper way to introduce
them
them.
in varying ways.
Exactly.
But are mostly the same, in that they are all occasionally not very nice to each other. They also possess vast arsenals of planet-killing weapons, and on special occasion will trundle them out for public display. If you want to know why these people are fighting over such a vast territory and why they're so committed to erasing portions of their collective industrial base history
They
and
really only
civilization,
used the nuclear weapons during the first and second, like the succession wars.
Yeah, and until what was it, the until they decided to bring them out for, was it the Jihad era, right?
Yeah. Yeah, had to kill some Blake guys. So,
yeah, we don't talk about that era.
Yeah.
not the best novels to come out, or a lot of content. Although I did really enjoy the. I mean, I know it's gonna be blasphemy for some Battletech enjoys, but I did really enjoy the Mech Assault games on the Xbox, and it was during the timeline, and I was like, oh, so it's like these guys are okay, yeah. Like this seems cool. It seemed cool in those games as far as like the setting, but from what I understand, the actual like the way it was written is pretty weak sauce.
For me, like Jihad, I'm really getting into. It's kind of interesting. It kind of has some good points. Just Dark Age, it doesn't exist on my timeline.
Yeah.
This take on it is a two-parter, and most people find that a bit much. So let this serve as a basic introduction to your career in the world of mech warriors, and a primer on who's most likely to kill you when you inevitably fuck up. But firstly, a disclaimer. I am biased. As a mercenary plying his trade in the inner sphere, I find concepts such as warfighting ideology largely a position of what you can cover up from the general public. Mainly because, at the end of the day in the inner sphere, it's about you and yours, and smoking craters tell no tales. They make a hell of an autocannon. But to better illustrate my point, let's just dive in.
The phone company.
Is from 3067. Maps from after that are somewhat messed up.
That's good.
For a number of reasons. And on an unrelated note, let's just brush this radioactive ash off here, and there we go. 3067. Don't mind flickering on
the thing that really got me
like
like into BattleTech a lot of times is Lyrans are Germans, Draconis Combine is obviously Japanese. Federated Sons are kind of Europe per se.
Yeah.
And then Laos Chinese, and then the Free Worlds League. I'm not sure who they are, or like who they represent though, or what they're like basically.
I've been told they're mostly like the, oh gosh, what was it? Some say Space America, and it's not quite right. They're more like, gosh, what are they? What are they more like? What was it? The Ottoman Empire? That probably wasn't it. It was a, yeah. That's a, yeah. That's a thing. That's a whole thing going on down there, and yeah, I'll have to look into see what they were kind of likened to, but it's yeah, they're a mess. But they're
interesting though.
They're a mess. They know they're a mess, but glory to the mess.
The clans were just terrorists. The clans were terrorists coming in to go kill everybody.
Yeah, they're very spicy aliens.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, true.
Because from what I remember, you know, they were in those elemental suits. People actually thought they were aliens. It's like, oh no, you know. But no, just...
I think the only aliens in Battletech was from that book. It was like Jade Falcon book or something. They went to a planet and they found the bird people.
You talked about that book. Why did you bring up that book? We just pretend that book was a fever dream.
Everybody does.
Yeah, I think the author said that book was based in an area that's so far from the universe, like the main universe, that the encounter between the bird people and the inner sphere will never happen.
But they had a Draconis Combine Death Trooper there, on the front cover though. So how did he get up there?
That was a Death Trooper, huh?
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know. It was a bad book.
It was, yeah.
Harmless, mostly. Let's begin with the great houses themselves. I'll be moving clockwise as we go for those of you who understand time, and left-hand feed for people who understand timing.
I actually don't get that reference. I'm gonna have to look that up.
I actually love these. I love House Credo like myself though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always started with those guys, and then I drifted to different houses. Then I drifted to mercenary units. Then I drifted to like my own stuff, and it's just my all-time favorite was like House Credo though.
Ah, nice. Yeah, Credo's pretty interesting. Like I like the way they wrote kind of the real delicate workings of that faction. Was it with the oh gosh, what was the book called? Was it Deadly Covenant? I think it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was the Inner Sphere trying to figure out what to do about the clan issue. And it was also, I think there was also a story in it about was it Victor Steiner Davion and him essentially kind of courting what was her name? Was it Iris? The princess of the coordinator, I think.
It could be foster to foster a relationship between the two.
Yeah, and it was the whole delicate thing of like kind of maneuvering the inner workings of how that faction works and the public face of it, as well as like also trying to deal with a horrible evil sister trying to backstab you during the conference. It was crazy stuff. But yeah.
Weird world of the Draconis Combine. Welcome to a pervasive class system and home to the galaxy's own homegrown, no bullshit, sword-wielding, authoritarian samurai ruling class. Oh yes, this place is literally built off pre-spaceflight Terran Shogunate-era Japan. It's a monolithic, all-encompassing bureaucratic machine run on war and conquest that thinks optimal Christmas dinner is, by tradition, fried chicken. They're a fun collection of ideas. Behold, this is their throne room. Take that in. This isn't just for show. This is
Jordan Weissman did actually take a lot of stuff from reality, basically, like GM.
Okay, yeah.
GM the company. He put it inside BattleTech. He put like other companies that are like already out there, and I think I read somewhere that basically that's exactly what he did. He just said, well, we need a company to go and do something. Well, here goes the company, and they make lasers or something, and then
Yeah.
he took another company. I think what was it? Lockheed and Martin, I think, and he made them into a company and put them in. I think it's one of those plane companies, but I'm not sure though.
Oh, wow.
But he put them inside the universe, and I think it's really cool that he did that.
That is pretty. I know that's pretty cool. I do know that GM is supposed to create the fusion engine by 2020.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit late
Uh,
now.
yeah, yeah. Although I think wasn't fusion starting to become like an actual like realistic technology to look more into like around 2021, something like that, like cold
Well,
fusion or
like,
something like that. Like we're actually making progress.
well, I know it might be. Yeah, I've really been paying much attention.
Yeah,
These are their mechs. They fight like this all the time.
that's wild.
Yes,
I know.
those swords are very
That
real
looks pretty sick.
and do brutal work.
That one is pretty good
All right,
though.
so
Yeah.
back to the guy in the chair.
And plus,
It
the
is
logo looks really
freaking
good
the
too,
guy in
man. I mean,
charge
come
of
on,
this.
a dragon.
So this
That,
guy
that
is
looks
called the
awesome.
coordinator.
Yeah,
He
That's one
runs
thing
the
I love
place.
about those guys.
There's very little distinction between the coordinator as a person and the Draconis Combine as a whole. When people refer to the dragon in reference to Kurita as a house or a nation, it's interchangeable between the two entities.
it's almost
And
like their
no,
emperor.
The Draconis Combine
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
celebrate
exactly.
the godhood of rulership with divine mandate.
Yeah, except for that
However,
part.
the coordinator's word is essentially the same weight within their sphere of influence, so I'd not invite trouble, as Kurita tends to bury its enemies deep, headless, and by the million. They have no issues with troubleshooting in government, as trouble should be shot in the Draconis Combine. And if there is anything to
beheaded.
fear from these guys, it's that they believe in a manifest destiny, which involves House Kurita controlling everything. The Draconis Combine started as an agreement between two worlds, which was then fed war and conquest through House Kurita's leadership. Kurita has had total control since the beginning, aside from that one cadet branch that one time in the family who was wiped out long ago. As far as
I'll
how
look for
this
that
thing
one is.
runs, well, the
have
five
to do a little
pillars
research on that.
represent the Draconis Combine. The pillar of gold is the government. The pillar of steel is the military. The pillar of teak is the people.
Yep,
The
yeah.
pillar of ivory is religion, philosophy, and all that crap. And then there's J,
Nice.
the economy.
Hey.
These five pillars
I
of state
love that.
philosophy are represented in the ministries of state organized through them. For instance, the pillar of steel encompasses the Ministry of War, the Department of Indoctrination, the Bureau of Substitution,
Well, that
the
sounds
Assembly of
pleasant.
the Grand
I
Inquisitor,
know.
the Admiralty, the Physician Staff of the Dragon,
Whoever gives
and
Theodore his
various
meds.
minor administration authorities. Speaking of authorities, Draconis Combine bureaucracy tends to be impenetrable to outsiders, impossible to reason with, and largely maintains the status quo. Actual decisions are typically made by people with significant military rank, in the form of military governors appointed to oversee civilian authorities. When in doubt, the decision maker is typically the one with the sword.
Yeah,
And if
that
you
makes
want to
sense.
see that sword
Yeah, it
up
does.
close and
It
real
does.
fast, you only need to fail to take its bearer seriously, or merely disrespect their presence. Also, they had this whole death to mercenaries thing for a while. Not my favorite government to work with. Then again, they rarely
Yeah.
need mercenaries ever, because
they kinda
the
screw
constant
themselves.
fighting and insanity of the samurai class means they're pretty much ready to throw down whenever. If they lack a cause, they'll find one quick. The leaders of the Draconis military are often peerless warlords, equally at home in local shogunal politics or on the battlefields of their neighbors. The Draconis Combine is the state
True,
that
yeah.
war built, maintained by Bushido, psychotic warriors, and a shitload of weapons. Finding Kurita forces in your backyard is frequently the precursor to speaking Japanese in your near future, whether you want to or not.
It's kind of interesting, like with the Draconis Combine, because like right now, basically, like the samurai way of life is not that was taken out like in the 1800s or around the 1900s,
Yeah.
like, around the time, and then in 30 25, it all came back like when they made the game, basically type thing. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, you know what? This stuff works more.
Yeah,
This stuff has survived us as a people a lot
Sorry,
longer.
guys.
We're
Yeah,
going
no.
to go back to it.
But like, when did they actually start doing that again? Like in the books, I never read anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a question.
Either, or I mean, I'm not really sure when exactly, but yeah, or it could just be Jordan Weisman's way of fitting cool samurai into robot stuff.
Sure.
Just an
Everybody
excuse.
loves samurais. Come on, man. Everybody loves them.
Everybody loves samurai.
Yeah,
How could they not? They're so cool.
exactly.
And
Fedstons.
my personal favorite of the Inner Sphere, because I'm basic
Next
like
door
that.
is ruled by House Davion, the so-called good kid of the successor houses. The noble one. The one that likes autocannons a lot.
Oh no,
Thanks
not a
these
good kid.
guys.
I mean, come on. In
Technically, this
328,
is the Federated
he
Sons.
he put the during the wedding, he Hans Zimmer put the names of the planets on the bottom on the bottom of the plates. So like when he actually attacked Lao during that time to start the fourth secession war, I mean that's kind of a dick move, saying, "Oh, tip over your plate, by the way," and here's
Oh
the
my
planet where you
gosh, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my god, I know that. I know it's like, and for your wedding wedding gift, my dear, they'll give you the Capellan Confederation. What?
exactly.
I didn't know he put it on the bottom of a dinner plate. Wow.
Yeah, he did
Wow.
that. That's kind of a dick move, man.
Kind of a dick move.
Damn.
Oh my god.
But I have to say they are kind of the good kids of the block type thing,
Yeah.
and they're not too bad. I like them. They're good. They got some good units.
Yeah, I like the there's some, you know, gosh, what is it? It's like I know people try to do the thing with Warhammer 40K of like everybody's bad and evil, and it's like, I mean, kind of, but not really, you know. It's like I'm pretty sure the demons are worse, you know. But with
exactly.
Battletech, it's like, these are all humans. They all have their own point of views. They have their own flaws, and yeah, they all kind of suck to you know, with each other. But at least the Davians, for the most part, seems like they're trying to be good. But they're, you know, there's you know, they do have their issues. But you know, it's like they're trying. You know, yeah.
I mean, like what's that planet? Like Kittimer? I think no, not Kittimer. That's Star Trek. Oh God, what's that planet where they killed the coordinator of the attacking force, and then that force from like Draconis Combine almost killed everybody. Oh God, Canary or something like that. They killed everybody on the planet itself. I forgot what name of the planet was though.
I'm gonna have to look this up now.
Yeah, I did some memes about it like a while ago, and it was like you know, remember this planet type thing, and it was a pretty good interesting story. And I forgot what book it's in, but I know it's in the Fed or the Fed God, it's in the Davion House book though.
Okay, yeah, just another reason I need to grab those old house books.
Yeah, it's really good books.
Yep. Yeah, nope. Davion isn't the greatest, but they're definitely trying to be the good guys. That's the most important thing. They're not the good guys. They're just trying to be the good guys.
Exactly.
You know? They're like the Tau of 40K. They're trying, but they're kind of messed up. Although not as messed up as a Tau.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Nowadays with the newer lore of the Tau, we're starting to really find out, oh man, this universe sucks. Maybe what we're doing doesn't work. Maybe that's why the Imperium is the way they are now.
True.
Yeah.
They're another fun monarchy. House Davion is descended from English and French nobility, operating as constitutionally bound monarchs, and has been, since ever, trying to reinforce their position as champions of liberty and personal freedom at every annoying turn. Because of this, most people think House Davion, and by extension, the Federated Sons, are self-righteous assholes. And they are not wrong. Mostly.
You're not wrong.
But see, the story is a bit funny on that. Originally, the Federated Sons was a federation. In time, the founding polities chose delegates to form a high council who would, among themselves, elect a president to lead them. But the political machinations of the Davion family were all about having a monarchy, so they pushed the presidency into that, and since then, the Davion family has ruled. Which is really good for them. Mostly good for the Federated Sons, and has worked out for the most part. However, Davions being Davions, one had to rule them all. So there was an early Davion civil war. The 5 marches had to decide for themselves who would be the first prince, and sharing was, apparently, not a serious consideration at any point. And the winner of that first early Davion civil war, Alexander Davion, went on to pass more legislation
one man, one
than
vote
any of his predecessors because he had total military support. Turns out you can make people vote how you want with a bayonet. However, the story doesn't get any worse really for some time at least. To their credit, House Davion was not a despot. They encouraged then and still champion free speech, individual liberties, and personal freedom. But in the end, it is a monarchy. Considering the mostly beneficial ruling arrangement,
I mean, at least they still have that.
A father knows best state, which has many times,
Well,
but
the
not always,
best
been
is
justified in its actions.
The ministry of Canopus, as far as freedom type thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, basically any I think you need to be a citizen to vote, basically, but they have it where like everybody has voice, like male or female, but it's more of a back in 3025 is more of a female dominated like society, but they changed it around 30, 55 around there, and but they have a almost everybody can vote and anything can go like back in Canopus.
Yeah, it's it's the space Vegas of the universe.
Exactly, that's what it is.
As such, it is seen as one of the more stable houses on account of broad public support. I will admit this, though they can be miserably righteous.
God, those old pictures just bring back some good. I mean, that looks beautiful.
That is just as bad.
That's the guy who did like Paranoia.
Oh, is the same artist?
Yeah, actually same artist. You can tell by the artwork.
Nice. There's a video I definitely want to do a reaction on that goes over Battletech art. Text and Text, George Ledoux, and a few others kind of review like old Battletech art, and I mean like old Battletech art from like the RPG books and stuff.
Wow.
Not the good ones, the really bad looking art.
Yeah. She's doing about Loose though. Loose did all the artwork for 30, 25, 30 for the I think the vehicles, did it for a couple other books too.
Yeah. Battletech has that really interesting line where it's like some of the art, especially during the older days, turned out really well, but there's a lot that's really meme worthy.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just the guy with the helmet on, basically. Helmet head, like whatever his name is.
Oh, the pill head, the classic pill head. I need to get a model of that built.
That's so funny. That's just bad.
Oh man, but yeah, as annoyingly smug as these guys are, I try to root for the gooder guys, and these guys are about as close to guys just trying to be mostly good.
I mean, like what they did for Loose was saying, okay, I need a mech that looks like this, just draw it, and so he did. Like basically came out with a couple mechs that look kind of questionable about like what the hell is this type thing. But then a lot of mechs like say the Hatchman came out really good. A couple of mechs did.
Yeah.
But most of what they did is is just say to the artist, hey, make something that looks like this. It has a gun in one arm, a gun in another arm, and that's it. And that's what they had to work with.
Yeah. I remember a lot of the early Battletech novels. They had like they would showcase. Excuse me. They would showcase the mech designs for mechs that would pop up in that particular novel. And a lot of them were it was after like the whole Unseen thing, so you usually didn't see a lot of the original Japanese designs for a lot of the earlier generation of battle mechs, but you saw the Western designs, and some of them were pretty nice looking, with the line art. But man, some of them you're looking at, it's like, I think you're missing a dimension in there somewhere. How's that thing walking? That doesn't look like it can walk. How is that thing capable of moving?
We're not going to talk about like what's that one with like 40 missiles on it. It's just a missile launcher with legs. I forgot what the hell that thing's called though.
Oh gosh, 40. Are you talking about the longbow?
No, not the longbow. It was another one that just looked like a missile boombox with legs on it.
Oh,
and it was I make fun of it all the time, but I forgot the name of the stupid thing.
I'm gonna need to look that up.
God, it was horrible. It's just like, oh my god.
Like was it the Ostrok? Like some old designs of the Ostrok, and especially oh gosh, but I don't remember there's the one that just looks like it's like that is impossible. That thing cannot walk. It looks like it's gonna fall over any moment. I don't remember what the name of that one was, but yeah, sometimes it's like this is really cool, and sometimes it's like, man, you guys were really under a deadline, weren't you?
Exactly. God, what is that mech's name?
Gosh, I don't, man, what was like the newer designs they have for a lot of the mechs, I think are pretty cool. Although I do agree with the argument that some of the like the newer designs kind of make everything look too uh what's the word? Um is it
It's a
I don't
Yoan.
remember.
The Yoan.
A,
The Yoan. It's a Yoan. It's like, oh my God, what the hell are
a
we
Ewan?
thinking? Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeoman, and it's like, oh my God, the Yeoman is just like the worst thing I've ever seen
Oh,
in
I think I know remember. I think I know what you're talking about.
it's just, it's
It's
a
pretty bad.
it's a cockpit in the middle, two gigantic missile launcher things, and legs. That's all it is. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God. Sorry.
No, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Sorry. It's just
Yeah, no,
that,
yeah,
it's like a super beam, basically.
yeah.
The Federated Sons have historically been one of the most professional militaries in the Inner Sphere, originally formed from peacekeepers and always kept as modern as state industries could allow. These guys even developed the predecessors to the Warhammer on their own dime in the earliest years of battle mechs. Even when
Warhammer's
they're
pretty
wrong,
sweet.
they're almost right.
Yeah, no, same here.
Davion may not pay you well, but they won't bury you for no reason. Mostly.
But that's not a Warhammer.
Yeah, I probably just found a picture.
Yeah. A lot of this artwork, from what I understand, was made with what was it? A lot of it was like newer art that wasn't in like any of the books. That was created by like artists for like these
Next
series,
door
and it's so
are
cool.
these guys.
Oh yeah,
I don't
stuff
like them
that
as
that
much
Tex
for a
has is
number of
beautiful.
reasons.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Capellan Confederation, that has almost but not always been under the control of one family, House Liao. The head of the state is the Chancellor, who is, in the Capellan Confederation, one nod away from making you disappear. To say that it is a police state is not an act of hyperbole, but substantiated fact.
yeah,
It wasn't always
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. It's pretty bad there. Like I ran a role playing game there, like Lao, and all the PCs got captured, but still, it's a bad place to be, man. Especially if you don't like become Lao, type thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know very few people who actually do like this faction. I definitely not one of them.
I mean, they did meet the Raven, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do like the Raven, but still, yeah, they're not a cool faction.
Definitely not. Although I don't, I was fascinated to hear like what one of the guys that I knew through BattleTech for a while before he moved away. He was a fan of like Liao, and he was telling me a story about how he had a match against someone else. They had different factions and stuff, and they're in the BattleTech game, you don't have to worry about all sorts of like faction types and special rules and all that stuff that you typically would for other tabletop war games, just
Yeah,
because of the
yeah.
way the setting's treated. It's kind of you can kind of roll with whatever you want, and narratively you can kind of support it. So you don't have to roll with faction specific tech and equipment and weapons and mechs and stuff like that. But he wanted to do a Liao focused force that was heavily like, you have your battle mechs in there, but it was also heavily like infantry and vehicle based.
Okay.
It really
Yeah.
was like a true um combined arms kind of approach. And of course his opponent just kind of laughed at him, like, why are you bringing this stuff on the table, right? It's, but the way he was able to take advantage of the different types of units, kind of supporting each other, just completely wiped the floor with the guy.
Jeez.
It's like, yeah, I don't have to worry about heat for a lot of these vehicles, and good luck shooting these infantry and building. It's like, yeah, he really. It's like, yeah,
It-
mechs are great, but they're not the de facto, like, not. There's a lot of other great stuff that you can use to take advantage of the situation.
Well, yeah, troops and vehicles, like they're not understood at all in BattleTech because everyone thinks like, oh, battle mech, pew pew pew, this is the best thing ever. But no,
Yeah.
if you play infantry and tanks right, you can wipe the floor with people, man.
Yeah, especially in some of the like the later portions of the later succession wars.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they it's like, yeah, they don't really have a whole lot of battle mechs to work with. So even though it's really cool to see it in the BattleTech video game,
Well, just a one
lore
platoon.
wise, this isn't realistic. You're not seeing
Yeah.
constant lances of mechs going at each other. They kind of grinded them to a halt, and at one point in time, it was almost thought that the battle mech was like a cool experiment that came and went. And they have to rely on good old artillery and stuff like that. But
Well, it was
yeah,
like the Knights of the
eventually they made
Shooter.
it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But eventually they did make a comeback because big stompy robot is scary.
Plus, is what sells too.
Oh yeah,
Plus, also too, like one platoon of like say like autocannon, like infantry. That's what 4 autocannon 5s, or one AC-20 or 2 AC-10s. That
yeah,
pops a wall, man. And plus, they don't cost that much either.
yeah.
But I don't know.
What started
They're fun
as
to
a
play though.
collection of states uniting for common defense and well-being slowly grew over hundreds of years through successive
I find it funny how they're also
generations of
using
philosophy and leadership
um,
from one house
the Papers,
into
Please
an
Aristotska
autocratic
music
state
for
with a
just talking
centrally
about Leon.
controlled economy.
I know.
It's like, yeah,
Some would
this
say
fits.
this is a functional dictatorship, but dictators tend toward having some sort of functional agenda or understanding of strategic power. But in truth, there's actually 3 forces that run this place, at least in theory. They are the Chancellor, the Prefectorate, and the House of Scions. The Chancellor is the CIC of the Armed Forces, Special Forces, and the face of the state in matters of foreign policy. The Chancellor can also make decrees and legislative changes at will. It's a powerful position, to say the least, and has
Yeah.
nearly always been a lifetime appointment for House Liao. The Prefectorate is the body of state regional entities and greater nobility. The House of Scions isn't, mostly. Needless to say, the Chancellor seems to get his or her way more often than not. But the other 2 governmental branches will act to frustrate or block particular agendas. What's interesting about the Capellan Confederation is that its citizens, or rather I should say resident aliens born there, are not citizens.
Subjects.
Yeah,
Not
pretty
yet,
much.
anyways. In fact, in the Confederation, citizenship must be earned, and the state is the sole measure of that esteem. Children are
The one thing I
legally,
loved about Lao
wards of
though
the state.
was what's the Death Commandos. I mean, those guys are like super duper cool. In the fourth Succession Wars, he sent 12 of them. No, actually, I'm sorry, that was the Death Commandos. So sorry, but still, Death Commandos are just really cool.
I don't know if I've actually came across the Death Commandos in much of the lore.
They're not used that much, but when they do, you're in trouble. You're definitely in trouble.
Well, I'll definitely need to keep an eye out for them next time they come up in fiction.
Yeah, and the Draconis Elite strike teams from like House Krita are actually pretty cool too. In the fourth Succession War, no, actually, like, I think after that, when they went up against Wolf Dragoons, they sent 12 in the middle of their regiment, and they took out a lot of mechs.
Hmm.
Just
Nice.
crazy cool.
That's pretty cool.
Under limited provisional supervision granted by the government to their parents or other assigned legal guardians.
Yeah, that sounds
At
bad.
age 15,
I don't like that.
Each child is
I
thoroughly
know.
examined by the government to see if they have a proven commitment to the state.
It's China.
Those
What do you
who are
know?
deemed worthy gain citizenship. Those who are not are given a grace period for a second evaluation. But failure to measure up as a citizen for any reason results in becoming a non-citizen, which are frequently referred to as state servitors. By the Succession Wars, this
God.
non-citizen class had become an enormous part of the population. A population that, I must state, had no rights.
I think the picture's pretty cool. It
was
shows like the
legally
life
state
of a mech
property.
warrior, like with the
This was reversed
shaver.
in 3052 when
Yeah.
Sun Tzu Liao became chancellor and abolished servitor slavery. Not all Capellan chancellors are assholes.
Hey,
Most, though.
rarely out
well,
W.
The record speaks for itself. The military of the Confederation Armed Forces have traditionally been the underdog, but have never shied away from a fight. They frequently are pushed into doing far too much with far too little, and on top of it have to face the catastrophic political and military meddling of a chancellor who may or may not understand the difference between entertainment
Or Griffin.
and war.
Yeah.
The fact that Capellan State has not been conquered outright speaks volumes to the abilities of the CCAF, who have demonstrated battlefield insanity as a doctrine for nearly 8 centuries. The Capellan economy
that's
is
true, man.
centrally
Basically,
planned
That's
and is designed on the
they were cut in
principle
half
that
in the
sufficient
fourth
planning
Succession
can
Wars.
overcome any hardship. This has
But
produced
they always came back, man.
Yeah.
always came back on anything they did or got attacked from.
Yeah, they truly
Plus,
are the underdogs in the Earth Sphere.
Exactly.
Results. The Confederation always endures, but at what cost?
Yeah, at what cost indeed.
Exactly. Merrick, I think.
Yep, good old Merrick and the OG mech with its
League.
embarrassing hip
House Merrick
lasers.
because, well, it's complicated. Also, their history isn't terrible as some make it out to be. Yes, the greatest threat to Americ is Americ, but glory to Merrick.
Hey, there's
but
that
it wasn't
saying.
always so.
That's a good quote, actually.
That's what the quote is,
actually
yeah.
formed before
That's good.
the Terran hegemony, born out of the early Terran Alliance's colonial struggles, and then collapsed.
Because like
as an
America's
early
also
power.
too like they're a bunch of
Their
like
homeworld falling
city-states
apart,
basically.
Colonization was, well,
like that territories
somewhat on
type
the
thing.
Yeah.
And they all come together, go create like Merrick.
Yep. But they're all also busy strangling each other.
Exactly.
Until someone else comes in to kick dirt on them, and then suddenly they come out like angry bees. Only to go back to strangling each other after the angry bees are they're done with whoever they're stinging.
Yeah.
Catastrophic end of things. So nations which weathered that catastrophe learned self-reliance. The Free Worlds League was originally an agreement between 3 existing nations: the Merrick Republic, the Regulan Principality, and the Federation of Oriente. Amazingly enough, the founders of the League owe most of their success to a guy named George Humphreys, who was the negotiator between the 3 nations and was honored as the first Speaker of Parliament for 5 damn sessions. They didn't throw the negotiator away when they came together as a nation. They threw nobody under the bus. Instead, they championed him. That is righteous. So how did it go down? You see, of the 3 nations, Merrick was on top locally, and Merrick didn't like the idea of a union at all, not at first. He thought it wouldn't work. Working with others seemed like a bad idea, in fact, considering the state of galactic affairs, but Humphreys wore him down, like a good friend does, and the only reason I bring this up is because what wore him down wasn't politics. It wasn't an appeal to power or glory or riches or conquest or the history books. It was in fact nerd shit. See, Detlev Merrick collected historic awards and trophies. Raju Salaj,
fellow war
Prince
gamer.
of Regulus,
I know that picture
miniatures, figurines mainly.
Yeah,
and
that's on the
books and
internet like right
paintings
now.
and the like.
Oh, that's cool.
And these 2 guys nerding out about their neat stuff they liked and had collected contributed as much toward the founding of the Free Worlds League
so
as
wild.
anything else.
That's what started wargaming basically. So yeah,
the Free Worlds League is a federal republic.
just a bunch of people with like little guys, and they
grand measure
put on a board type thing. They fight each other. That's what wargaming is.
Oh yeah.
Back in the 30s, I think they had it started to become popular.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've had that type of stuff for battle plans and stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually, it started filtering down into the civilian market, where you start having their own type of games like that. They kind of would go off into its own thing.
To Games Workshop, where they have overpriced items. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. Yeah, they good old Games Workshop. Man.
That's all about it.
Sovereignty, and as you'd expect, the Free Worlds League is a complex creature, politically speaking.
Yeah.
The Parliament is technically a supreme federal and legislative authority, but there's some caveats to that. For one, membership of the Parliament was, for a time, determined by the amount of taxes paid into the Treasury. And then there's the self-rule problem. All that self-rule means you have all sorts of people in Parliament. Some nations could be dictatorships, others a theocracy, others a democracy, and yet all
that
under
sounds
one
rough.
flag. Naturally, this causes some problems.
Yep.
It's why, for the most part, the Free Worlds League,
a lot of friction.
through its history, has operated in a near-permanent state of martial law under the Captain General, who is frequently, but not always, a Merrick. Historically, the power of the Parliament has waned with every major conflict, crisis, or state of emergency,
Yep.
whereas the power of the Captain General has increased.
Yeah, the Mackie.
That's right. The Free Worlds League drops their issues at Merrick's welcome mat, rings the doorbell, and runs the fuck home.
Damn.
I don't envy that job.
I wouldn't
Originally
either. That's
intended for
rough.
military matters on behest of Parliament, 8 centuries of emergency
That's a
powers
big
later, the Captain
freaking
General
Maggie
stands as
Jam.
first
Yeah, I
among
don't.
equals.
Hold on. I gotta. Yeah, something that's always kind of silly when it comes to Battletech is they've never truly defined how tall these things are. Their heights always fluctuate. I think when they originally came out with, like, was it Battle Droids, right? The first edition of Battletech.
Yeah.
Like, as far as tonnage wise go of these things, I think the idea was that they were probably no higher, no taller than maybe a 2-story house, And it's like, okay, maybe the tonnage makes sense for things that are that small. But then as time goes on, they get cooler and cooler. Suddenly they start increasing in size, and then there's this picture, and like, what?
It's like a
No way.
freaking Maggie, man. Oh,
Like, is that a battle mech, or is that a Evangelion? Like, what am I looking like? That's huge. Like,
I know.
like, the Mechanicus work on this? What the?
Well, we probably had no guidance basically on how big the pictures are too.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, if you look up battle mechs, you get all sorts of information. You will never get size. Like, you will never get, like, a height. They always
I
omit
figured
that.
they're about 30 feet tall, basically. That's what I figured they are.
Yeah, but
About that,
our artwork greatly goes, fluctuates, and
Yeah,
just goes
yeah.
by the rule of cool. And as long as no one brings that up, I'm okay with it. But yeah, the humans might be a little too small.
It's untold things about BattleTech. Why is there no robots in BattleTech? Why is there no, like, basically well aliens about, but, like, why are there certain things that are not in BattleTech? Like, basically one thing is making products. They the warehouses where the manufacturing plants were taken out basically during the first through third, but every planet makes something, and it takes easy to find those plans to go build something, to go build a warehouse or build a plant or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's plans somewhere. It just didn't disappear. Basically.
Yeah, not was it? Well, a lot of it disappeared.
Well, a lot of it disappeared, but the whole problem is, so, like, with databases out there, with pads and stuff like that, with the technology that's out there, it wouldn't disappear completely. Somewhere.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
some-
I think we have the phone company to thank for gathering and keeping secret all the ones that did survive. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. Until was it the Great Death Legion finds the
Helm core.
the Helm core memory? Yeah, and then suddenly they're able to start. Yeah, but yeah,
But I'm sure those things were out there somewhere logically, but yet to make the story good, they had to like make it like Comstar took everything, and then also it was only in the Helm core.
yeah.
And is more or less House Merrick's personal lordship of the Free Worlds League, with all of the hazards that entails. The Free Worlds League has defined its economic niche through innovative technologies and free trade, which I feel is a response engineered in opposition to the then crumbling Terran Alliance's blanket of tariffs and protective customs laws. The laissez-faire approach to the Free World's economic principles has made more friends than enemies. However, poor risk management
With this
analysis
picture, I just got
has
an
caused
idea
problems.
to make
For
a
instance,
role-playing product of the comm system, like of an individual soldier.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, just with that picture, that's cool. Okay, cool.
That's cool. Wait, what did I stop on? What is this? This doesn't look like technology. This looks like GAMP. This looks like, are we in Canopus?
Space.
Wait, where?
Canopus, yeah, that is from the book in Canopus.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, see, like you see, like on the right hand side, they got the Canopus guy, but then you also have a fist. You have Lau there, but everybody like visits. So
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't know.
Conquering the magistracy of Canopus during the Reunification War, the Free Worlds League
Oh,
invested
there you go.
oceans of currency
We call this
into
historical
rebuilding
effect in regards to Canopus as the
the
house always
open
wins.
economy.
Nice.
Canopus returned the favor by outcompeting and underbidding the Free Worlds League economy in the region by mostly using principally cheaper labor and lots of industry they didn't have to pay to build.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
resulted in a 10-year economic recession for the entire Free Worlds League.
Yep.
No good deed goes unpunished.
It's very true.
Since they've learned quite a bit and have managed their economic affairs with care to guard against the systemic mayhem and shock as caused by other states, good intentions or not. Culturally, the Free Worlds League is a mix. In fact, it is probably the most diverse state there is in the Inner Sphere. The principal language is mostly a derivative of Star League English, but on any given world you might hear Czech, Arabic, or Urdu. With the sheer number of cultures and political systems present in the Free Worlds League, it must be said that if there was anything that unified them, it was not a Merrick, but more an ideology. And that's entrepreneurship, a belief in the free market, and the idea that anybody could make it if they tried. It was from the prosperity of the Star League that this philosophy grew, I feel. The succession wars didn't dampen their spirits either. It merely made them appreciate what they had and encouraged them to continue fighting for it.
That's good.
And maybe each other from time to time because, hey, glory to Merrick.
I hate Jesus.
Next door is the one
Al
people
Steiner.
make fun
The
of,
Steiners.
and for some of the right reasons. Welcome to the Lyran Commonwealth.
The only place where you can buy your
First
rank.
of all, few call it that unless they're declaring war or arranging marriage, which, if I'm frank, might be the same thing in the same afternoon.
Of course, they would
So
have battle
welcome to
mechs in the
House of
throne room
Steiner.
just because.
The Steiners are the ruling
It's
family.
cool. I love that,
since
actually.
virtually ever.
That's really
They
cool.
were
But
founded
what
as a
if they
merchant and industrialist
go
conglomerate. They never stopped being exactly that. They celebrate their vast wealth by having far too many nobles, far too many
Steiner
noble
middle
titles,
class problems.
and historically largely incompetent generals. Save for the occasional flash in the pan, that is. However,
Oh, man.
if they're strategically incompetent to the point that the concept of their scouting parties operating vastly excessive tonnage, even in modest
You mean
actions,
those scouting
means
parties?
there's more on
Yep.
truth than you think, then how do they survive, you
Good
ask?
old Steiner scout
Well,
lands.
money and industry, friends. Money and industry. House Steiner's backing is the industrial base and every bank that invested in it. They are the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
There are many good reasons they can afford to dump truck weapons into a situation, operational or not, piloted or not, and then continue to
I
do
love
so
that dump
until
truck
the
weapons.
enemy leaves.
That's
While
good.
not stupendously famous for warfighting leadership or tactical brilliance, House Steiner can and will bury you with its vast assembly lines led by pretend generals until you give up or they get bored. Every
Yep.
tragic comedy of their strategic planning is mostly covered by the sheer power of their pervasive economy and vast military industry. In its early days, the Lyran Commonwealth
just
was
keep
headed by
throwing stuff
9
at the problem until it
archons
goes
as
away.
patterned off ancient Athens of Terra, because early post-Terran colonies were like that, very idyllic. Then one guy deposed the other 8, decided to establish the Estates General to run the show, and finally hammer out some agreements on what rights meant. And it's kind of worked out. Technically, the Archon of the Lyran Commonwealth is an absolute ruler, commander-in-chief of all military forces, and can unilaterally make
Your
most
plans on
governmental
accident.
decisions
Ooh,
with a
nice.
modest nod. They run the show.
That's a lot
They
of power.
even hold the right to grant and remove noble titles in perpetuity, titles which hold significant power. So they're a ruthless autocrat, right? Not really.
Oh,
Most
no.
archons of House Steiner, aside from a few notable assholes who need
Not a nice lady.
extensive
That's
covering
definitely
in
true.
what I will likely label
Hmm.
a historical diss track, are mostly okay people.
Except
They
for her.
delegate most decisions
Except
to the
for her, yes.
bureaucracy, the councils of state, appointed advisors, and the Estates General, and they typically just keep their heads down. Or just go to the Solaris thing. Right,
Hey,
the Solaris thing.
The Solaris thing.
So there's a bullseye in the
Yeah, you got a box set of that.
order
I got
for
a box set of that.
entertainment
I definitely
business,
wanna
and it's right
play that.
here. Solaris 7. This is
It's
pretty much
definitely
Steiner
interesting.
in a nutshell. But I'm not an expert in these matters.
Speaking of Solaris, one of the things I would love to do is that I'm kind of interested in, like we were talking about, doing a 3rd edition MechWarrior RPG to finally try it out. Part of what I was thinking is maybe doing an RPG setting in Solaris, and more of like a kind of like detective, like noir kind of sense, you know, as far as like, you know, Solaris, you know, the city that never sleeps, you know, Sin City kind of almost like place, you know, where all sorts of crazy crime and just crazy stuff happens. Like you could probably make a lot of different stories of just crazy stuff going on, no matter what you're trying to role play as, you know.
Yeah. The thing about MechWarrior RPG. There's so much you can do. You just have to sit down and just create a story. It's like, okay, this would be cool to go and put the PCs through. You could do anything because every planet's different, every culture is different, everything is different about every type of house is different. So you just have to really read just a tiny bit and then create like a story for it, and it's not bad, and that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be something I'd definitely like to look into.
No, I'm game.
So I'll turn it over to a local. He can sum it up better. Mr. Fisher, take it away.
Solaris 7 is the only place where you can pay money to watch two strangers beat each other to death, while also enjoying a corn dog.
Duncan, that's not true. Canopus exists. They have corn dogs last I went, and a very good Outback.
I think Canopus banned trans fats, my dude. I've only ever seen funnel cake. Oh, and they do a lot of food on a stick. Saves napkins, less to clean
God,
up.
this is so bad for you.
Stick food is really the way of the future.
Yeah, but
I wish
really
we'd thought of
tasty.
it first.
I know.
Sticks truly are the yardstick of food. I'm Duncan Fisher. I stand by this statement. Sticks are the future. Mark my words.
Thank you, Duncan.
Duncan, this is costing me a fortune.
Thank you,
Oh,
man.
right. HPG bills. So, Solaris 7. Murder is more or less very legal, so long as you do it in the box on TV, and everyone has a really great time. In fact, it's fantastic. There's explosions and music, and I'm there. Every night, on every screen. I tell you all the things I think you need to hear, and most of them are very accurate. Very, very accurate. Anyways, this is Duncan Fisher signing off. And this appearance cost Professor Tex 1,485 C-bills.
Thank you, Duncan. Steiner space is a complex thing. Not good, not evil, just very big. In fact, I think that the Lyran Commonwealth is much like a cosmic horror. Some giant, blind, idiot god just waiting there, happily making
That's a good
money
picture
and
like that.
strudel.
That's a really good
Singing
description,
merrily
actually, of
to
them.
itself
Yeah, no,
until
yeah.
someone comes over and
Although, what
flips the
mech is that,
table.
though?
And
I don't
then it becomes very, very upset.
Hey, the Steiner Scouts, come on.
God. Where's Lederhosen?
Yep. Oh, is it the spicy Viking faction? Yes, it is.
Anyway,
yeah.
moving to
There
our
you go.
right, because space has that, we have to talk about this strip of the inner sphere that's been nothing but hell. We're not talking about these a-holes here, because they're not
Sahag.
from here, or rather, not recently. These are the clans. And for those uninitiated,
Clan
they're a
Tech, my beloved.
strange, deep space civilization, a state-mandated eugenics program, warrior caste, combat cult weirdos. Even by our standards, they're very weird.
Very
We
weird.
also got completely wrecked
big.
by the phone company. It was a pretty okay time. For us, that is. So, here's what remains of the somewhat free Rasselhag Republic.
Very
So
sad.
these guys were a thing, briefly, until these guys decided they shouldn't be. Because they were between these guys and Terra, which is controlled by the phone company, who wasn't cool with these guys taking a bite out of everything on their way to the telecoms HQ for very odd, strangely specific, quasi-spiritual reasons, which for very different, strangely specific, quasi-spiritual reasons, the phone company decided to murder them.
Well,
Guys, as it
Yep.
turns out, you can make people show
Stop
up to an
cold on
ambush by
2K.
just asking them. Remember, be kind, it pays dividends. Before
to be fair, I mean, the Comstar was cool with them taking a bite into everything because they saw it as a way for them to essentially silently kind of take over areas by essentially,
Yeah.
helping offload that how do I describe that? Helping offload the, I guess, the weight of responsibility of holding and maintaining those civilian populations after it all had fallen under the clan war machine. They were cool with it until they found out why the clans were there in the first place, and then suddenly they weren't cool with it anymore.
Exactly. They're like, oh, yeah, you can't take her home. This is ours. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you mean you're trying to take our home? We took it. We took it first, fair and square.
We held it for a long time. We're gonna keep on holding. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you can't steal it. We stole it first.
But it's just amazing the amount of mechs Comstar had, and what they could throw at the clans, and it was just amazing, like what they can do. Of course, they had like years of just collecting technology, using the HPG to go spy on other nations to see what they have and all that kind of stuff. It's just amazing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a big phone company though.
Yeah, it's pretty poetic in a way that the invaders of the inner sphere that are trying to take over the inner sphere are being thwarted and attacked or defending the inner sphere by the group that they both kind of shared. Like they were both two pieces of the same cloth until they got separated, and now they're coming back together as enemies, you know, both with similar ideals of taking over the inner sphere, you know.
Exactly.
What's the Lucas line? It's like poetry, it rhymes.
More than unpleasantness, Rasselhag was a state come from the space between House Kurita over here and House Steiner. These Kuritan buffer worlds were, before Kurita came along, an independently free principality of mostly culturally Scandinavian colonists. This small state was then overrun by House Kurita, who had to pry the worlds from them after 30 years of guerrilla warfare. They didn't go quietly. They were always a somewhat fiercely independent border region who resisted assimilation into the Draconis Combine. Over time, and some phone company intervention, Theodore Kurita was convinced of the benefits of creating a buffer zone between the houses of Steiner and Kurita by granting Rasselhag independence. Some of Kurita's guys were so mad at this, they resisted the government, and Kurita had to fight what was called the Ronin War. After Old Man Kurita gave his rowdy warriors the belt, Rasselhag became essentially a neutral buffer between the two superpowers of House Kurita and House Steiner. They were independent for almost 2 decades before these assholes came in, and in the end, they weren't anymore. This much of them survived as a rump state under the custodianship of Comstar, until 3070, when Clan Ghostbear more or less took them in. Because Ghostbear is of a similar cultural background and understands the importance of family. Good people mostly. Kinda clingy though.
Man, I love the art for that.
Was not a paper dragon. They collapsed only after fighting bravely in the face of overwhelming odds. They gave the clanners a hard fight on every world, and in the deep black between stars. It was a Rasselhag pilot who kamikazed the Okan's warship and stopped the invasion for a year.
Yes, it was.
Rasselhag is like that.
What book
They'll
was that?
smile all day, but fuck around and the Viking comes out, and it doesn't stop until
something?
you or they are very,
I'm not sure,
very
actually.
dead. Next up, I have to talk about this.
Talked about the Kellhounds.
This was once the cradle of humanity, but it's been a hotbed of a lot of historical issues. Originally, the first circuit of what was called SL Comnet was laid out in this chunk of space once called the Hegemony. Then, well, there was this guy named Jerome Blake, and as fate would have it, he'd be the last employee of SL Comnet. But some assholes in time would think that everything that poured out of his goddamn mouth was the word of...
Wow, nice.
Oh, no, can't talk about that. No.
What's he? I wonder what's he.
Praise Blake. Yep. There you go.
There you go.
That. They have been demonetized.
Yeah, it's YouTube in space.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair to the Blakeists out there, I mean, if you look at this guy, I mean, let's be honest. This guy does kind of have a look of somebody who would be worshipped by a cult. Like, I'm just saying, like he looks like a cult leader.
He does. God, yes, he does. Man,
great artwork.
Right, so I guess next time I have to talk about the periphery, then the deep periphery. Great. Goat, play me out. Team, show these people how we pay our bills.
Oh man, the
See
periphery.
you next time. Stay safe.
I actually like the periphery.
Oh, far away.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot. Like, I know the basic stuff about the periphery, but yeah, I don't know like a super amount of detail about them.
It makes a really good role playing mechanic because there's anything you want to be into the periphery. Basically, you can make up anything you want. Basically, there's so much out there. And that's what I love about it too. And plus, like, some of the city states are really cool too. Or like some of the empires out there.
Far away, out in the deep periphery.
I like his videos. They're actually pretty good. I'll have to watch more of these actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, his videos are so good. Very informative, very funny. You know, doesn't super drown you in a lot of crazy, information, or it's enough of a fun balance to where it keeps your attention, but doesn't really get super deep into a lot of things. It's enough to where you want to go out and learn more about it.
Well, yeah, true. And plus his voice is fantastic. And plus the writing and plus the writing he does. I mean,
Tex has a heavenly voice.
Yeah, exactly. It's on, man. The writing is on par too, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and the video editing and all the artwork that is brought in by various artists, and the music mixing, it's just everything. It's just it's so great. Such high quality stuff. Absolutely love it. Can't wait
That's
to.
What everyone loves him, man. Everyone loves Tex. Yeah, everybody loves him.
Great guy.
You're stuck in the periphery. Oh no.
Wow.
And not even just the Tex Talks Battletech, but like a lot of the other stuff they work on. Like what was it, like the Space Station 13 and Space Station 14 content he does?
Oh, I never seen that actually.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, there's a lot of fun, a lot of crazy mischief.
Now get the fuck out.
Nice. See, he's just he's such a good grasp of humor, really good.
All right.
Damn, that was good.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me today. It's been super fun going through this video with you. I'm definitely open to showing you more of these because these are absolutely fantastic in the future.
Definitely.
And
sorry, my voice was all raspy.
It's fine.
But still, it's fun. It's fun though.
Yeah, well, I also want to thank all you out there for coming in and joining us for this fun watch through of the Great Houses in the Inner Sphere. Definitely looking forward to when they eventually release the Periphery episode, which still hasn't happened yet. But I'll be here waiting when they finally get to it.
Me too.
So. But anyway, thank you all, and hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again here on the dance floor. Take care, everyone.
See you later.